So I want to talk a little bit about Ron Killings, the former R-Truth, who is now back in WWE as of last night's surprise return at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And I want to discuss the listening to the internet aspect of professional wrestling and how the internet has changed the business forever. So prior to the internet, it was a lot easier to keep wrestling secrets internally. Prior to the internet, it was a lot easier to prevent information from getting out. We don't even know if in some alternate universe that there was no internet, people wouldn't have really understood terminology like babyface, heel, like all those carny terms. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is in relation to R-Truth. R-Truth was released 2 weeks ago, and the fans, well, it was last week, and the fans, a lot of them were very upset about this, and a lot of the wrestlers in the company and people all over the business were upset because R-Truth, he's been there forever, and he's always stepped up to the plate to do whatever they asked him to do. And this became a massive, underground swelling of people trying to let WWE know that they were not happy with their decision. And we don't really know the details of what led to R-Truth's release, but I think what they're going to do in the storyline is that he's going to, when he cuts a promo, he's going to say it was John Cena that did it. This was an idea that Bubba Ray Dudley came up with on the Busted Open radio show he does. He was talking about that on there, and that makes sense. Like, have Truth basically tell everybody that it was Cena that talked to the office to have Truth's contract not get renewed. But here's what came out yesterday as a PW Insider. It's not that they were working us the whole time. R-Truth was legitimately released. But in the past 2 days or 3 days, it was discussed about bringing him back. And they did bring him back under a new deal. This time he's Ron Killings. He's not R-Truth. I like the fact they're going with a name that's a bit closer to the real guy. And I like the fact that they brought him back and listened to the fans. Now, again, the idea of Triple H being the guy who doesn't listen to the internet ever is silly. We all know Tony Khan does, because Tony Khan has, on multiple occasions, changed things purely based on what the people on Twitter have to say. He actually talks to fans about booking instead of talking to actual people in the business. He has discussions with people about what they like and don't like. He refers to his fans as sickos because they're like, really obsessed with wrestling. And the elephant in the room that nobody wants to really say, although Kevin Nash did say it, is that I do think that Tony Khan has some form of autism. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. It's just kind of obvious. He's a bit neurodivergent. So that's why he comes off kind of awkward. But the reality is he has an ego, just like Triple H does. Both these guys have egos. Now, the thing about listening to the internet audience is that oftentimes in the past, WWE has not really cared until time has passed. Daniel Bryan in 2013 really had a huge, and 2012, had a huge crop of fans really wanting him to be taken seriously. And that would, of course, lead to him eventually being put in the WrestleMania 30 main event. Well, main event scene. He had to beat Triple H and win the title. The internet has changed everything because now there's direct feedback going to WWE about certain angles. Now, here's the question. Do you listen to the fans or do you not? Listening to the fans on the internet when it comes to specific booking decisions is not a good idea. And that's because most of the fans have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to coming up with storylines and characters. A lot of them are just marks that like a certain guy, whether it be because of his in-ring or his charisma or his promos or his or her or whatever, and they want to see that star get pushed to the top. But you can't just have one person get pushed to the top like that without there being a reason for it. Plus, everybody has their own favorite. You should be listening to the people in the arenas. You should be listening to people in the internet. You should kind of have your ear to the streets and try to hear what people are saying. And that is helpful as far as how to steer the ship. But you don't really want to get into a situation where the fans control or dictate your product. The reality is that if you've got a storyline that you want to tell, and if you're very confident in that storyline, it doesn't hurt to just go ahead and pull the trigger on it. Now, Vince McMahon followed this a lot and it backfired. But I do think Vince, prior to getting really old, was a pretty sharp guy, when it comes to wrestling, especially in the 90s and even in the 80s. He was a very sharp man, although he had his flaws. But when it comes to R-Truth, I didn't really hear the "We Want Truth" chants. Like, they were on the show, but it wasn't quite like the CM Punk chants from 10 years ago, where they would oftentimes dominate the show. There were a few here and there, specifically on Raw during the main event. And I think WWE just realized, well, we can probably make money from this and extend Ron's career. So they re-signed him, put out a new piece of merch, and now he's back involved in the John Cena storyline. Now, I was not down for this R-Truth John Cena thing. I've talked about it before, and I don't care that much because R-Truth has been a low-card comedy character for the past few years. But him coming back and being somewhat repackaged in a serious tone as Ron Killings, now I'm interested. Because now they can kind of lean into more of the reality stuff and talk about what Ron Killings' issue is with John Cena. Now, Cody getting the pin on the pay-per-view means that we're going to get that rematch at some point. Don't know if it'll be Night of Champions or SummerSlam, but that rematch is coming. And what's going to be Ron Killings' involvement? So, when it comes to listening to the internet, I do think WWE doesn't really do it enough. Tony Khan does it maybe too much, AEW, but I think that in some instances, listening to them can definitely be beneficial. And it wasn't just the wrestling fans. Other people in the business were really upset about the R-Truth release. So why not give him a little bit more time? I don't think he's going to be there for 15 more years, but why not? It doesn't hurt anybody. WWE's making so much money right now, and from a business perspective, obviously on a personal note, people in that company love the guy. Everybody thinks he's funny. Business-wise, they can still make a ton of money now with these new Ron Killings pieces of merch and by pushing him. This is a huge opportunity to reboot this character and kind of start from the ground up again with really maybe doing something different with Ron that they have, not been doing for the past few years. Something different, something where he's not just comedy fodder. I think he still should have that side to him, but I don't think he should have that side to him during this feud with John Cena. So, my bottom line to this video is this. It's good to look at what the arena says. It's good to look at the numbers. And it's good to look at the internet. But it can't just be one thing. I think they really need to take a holistic view of what the audience thinks and maybe course correct for it. Right now, the big topic that I've been talking about is starting to really spread, and that is WWE price gouging. Tickets are very expensive, and I hope to God that they listen and that they make the ticket prices a bit more reasonable. Because if you have a family of four, let's say, and you want to go to a show and get good seats, you're looking at least $2,000. At least. And that's not even like front row. We're talking about like, even the risers, because the tickets are so damn expensive. I think WWE, and the thing is, they're not going to, because people keep buying them and they're still hot from the last couple of years. And as long as they stay hot, people are going to keep coming. But there will come a point when they're going to have to lower these ticket prices at some point, or at least come up with some kind of deal so that people who might not be super wealthy can still go enjoy WWE live. But as long as people keep buying tickets, man, that ain't going to change. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Take care.